Hey everybody, welcome back to Roadside Nuggets. We love you all. Again, thank you everyone to start off today. For everyone who actually is stepping up, that is pushing, mission ascension forward and is, actively doing their internal process of work. This is not easy by a long shot for anybody on this planet. And I want to be clear before we even start off that none of this is taken lightly at all. Right. And as we move further into this ascension process, for many of us who have been on this road for a long moment, it's become very, very aware how overwhelming it can be, for all of us moving through this process and also being as much in integrity and honesty and truth as possible in any given moment and pushing for that higher part of ourself and evolving into that, growing into that, maturing into that part of ourself, right? Namely speaking, everything that we're facing in our daily life on a daily basis with what we have an agenda, routines, our everyday flow, what we have to do, what we feel we have to do, are obligated to do, are required to do. See, all of this is about to hit a massive halt. It's kind of like, ever been on like a highway or going really fast in a car and then you had to slam the brakes real quick, and how like immediate and jolting and completely whatever anyone in the car was doing, now everyone's focus is completely now in that moment, what is going on. That's the kind of experience that we're headed for very soon, and it's going to be a continual experience as we move forward where the pressure and intensity increases. We talked a lot about yesterday. We are entering a stage, etherically in a lot of ways. Best way to, explain it is a canal, a channel. Ever gone through, on a highway and then you come to a part where you have to go through this long tunnel? That's exactly where we're about to go through. I'm not saying it's going to be dark, not saying it's going to be scary, but the actual form of that, how it completely cuts off so much from around you and enforces you to go through this specific channel. There's only one way in and out. That's it. This is where energetically humanity is reaching in this part of the, I don't know what we would call it, part of the reality that's manifesting physically for us. All the experiences that we need and required of to make to the next phase that we are getting to, moving closer to 5D. There's a lot of things that we have externalized. We talked about this yesterday too. There's a lot of things through externalization we have gotten away with as a humanity. So much things we project outwards, some things we blame, we constantly seek outside ourselves and even find a way to put energy at, because we can't accept it. We can't be accountable or responsible. Doesn't mean you're not, in truth. It's just that where you are in your life and your experience right now, you can't accept the accountability. You can't accept the responsibility for it. Where this automatically puts that energy outside of you in externalization. As we move through this energetic tunnel, so to speak, it's going to squeeze and condense. So a lot of the first things that are going to come into our awareness from this squeeze and condensement is a lot of what we have externalized. A lot of what we have pushed so far out ourselves, those are the first things that are going to start getting triggered and pushed more back into our reality. And now where we have control, where we have resistance, lack of surrender, rebellious energy, that now is going to get triggered because, of course, those are all in the lower. That's where humanity's at. So as this energy gets squeezed back in, what we have externalized, it's now going to trigger our control and resistance, lack of surrender that put it out in externalization in the first place. So now we go through this experience of having ultimately what we have used to put in externalization. Fantasy, delusions of grandeur, all those different things, disassociation, cognitive dissonance, wherever anyone is outside themselves, those are all the things that are going to start getting squeezed and pushed back in as we move further into this tighter tunnel. Now, a lot of us are used to like a regular tunnel. Okay, the tunnel stays the same size as we move through it because there's, of course, 2 lanes or 1 lane, so it's the same size going through. This is not the case. Etherically, metaphysically speaking, this experience is going to start squeezing on all sides. So as we move further through the tunnel is actually going to get tighter and tighter. Meaning the squeeze and the pressurizing, what's pushing everything externalized in, is not going to stop compressing further and further and further. So therefore, where we have control, resistance, stubbornness, lack of surrender, all those different things, they're going to get triggered, and they're going to keep getting triggered on even more intense levels in your experience because it's getting pushed more and more, and we don't have control. We don't have the ability to choose to delay it any further or to push it off. This is beyond us. This is complete divine intervention, and what Mom talked about as divine enforcement. God's not going to force you, but the reality you exist in, that's Mama's. You don't control this planet. You don't control the dimensional reality you are living and breathing in. You may have, what you think free will, your own choice, and then with your own body, but you don't control the environment and everything around you. So now, as God's free will, God's will, the reality in life itself is going to start compressing in on everything that is within life. Meaning it's going to enforce you from the outside surrounding area in your reality, your experience, to go through a certain number of lanes. And it's going to enforce you to a point where you're going to have to make choices, because of course humanity doesn't know how to process fully. Yeah. And also at the same time, humanity doesn't not know how to fully be empowered, and trusting their own choices and standing in their own empowerment and confidence, being stable in that, not relying on outside validation, externalized, confirmation or support first before they choose it. They must get to the point where the individual can fully choose something in full confidence, full trust, and be able to stand in that instability regardless of whatever else is coming in. That's a massive test that's coming for humanity, where this experience is going to cause a lot of that to be a beginning growth stage for that. It doesn't seem like that, but that's exactly what's happening. I had a conversation with Jerry, and I feel Mother Mary was there, I'm not sure. But we were just talking a little bit earlier about how, when plants grow, when plants are stressed, natural and Mother Nature, when plants are stressed or put under certain conditions, how a plant or a tree or whatever you're talking about will grow. It will adapt. It will force itself to go another way. Life will always find another way, and it will continually to keep growing and branch out, expanding, because it has a set blueprint. From the seed that it started at, it has a set blueprint of what it's destined to be. So no matter what comes in opposition of it, no matter what becomes an obstacle, the natural blueprint of that, plant, and also human beings, anything in life, it has an ultimate blueprint where it's naturally, even down to its DNA core, is set to reach and arrive at and keep evolving off of and expanding further off of whatever idea or truth started that original seed, which that was God. So our souls are those seeds. And our souls maintain the entire blueprint, the entire memory frame, whatever you want to call it, the codes, the entire network of God, evolving us to our full realization. Now, you saw down here, every single moment, God herself physically incarnated still went through evolutions, still went through changes, still grew consistently. So if we are all seeds that she has planted, then that is part of our natural blueprint. It's like there is no ultimate destination that you're going to arrive at and stop at, because you saw in the flesh that even God herself went through growth, went through evolution, went through expansions that wasn't not before. Meaning if God herself is continuously evolving and growing and expanding, everything that she has planted, every seed, every soul, has that natural essence within us to continuously grow and expand. Now, the fear that humanity has set in with us in the consciousness with linear time, thinking there is an end, this contradicts our ability to perceive what true reality is, the present moment, where everything is eternal and does not stop. We think then we have to micromanage. We have to have a moment for this. We have to do this here. We have to do this here and this here and this here, and plan this out. This will be in 5 years, 20 years, 401ks, CDs, what I've deposited in my account, what I've saved up for 50 years for. Trying to freeze time in a lot of ways because the fear of the end is coming. And whatever choices that don't feel that they can forget themselves or go back and change, or where their body at, where their life is at, where their relationships are at that point, there's so much loss and fear of time that things are running out. Time is running out. Opportunities are running out. Resources are running out. Your health is running out. Your ability to do things is running out. That's driving the back force of the unconscious. That's driving the human being forward into impulse, which therefore we fall into obsession and addiction. Because of the impulsiveness into everything in reality, we're not even slowing down enough to actually appreciate where we're even at. And even if you do accomplish those goals, there's always another one. There's always another one. There's always where you got to get to, where you got to move to, what you got to do now. Because we haven't learned to actually appreciate where we are, respect where we are, love ourselves for where we even are at in our life, what we've actually gone through, what we've endured, to even have a set true intention and feeling on where we need to go. Honestly, everything is still backed by fear. Everything is still backed by impulse and trying to get somewhere before the time runs out. Trying to compete with everyone else around you, because then also with the fear, it comes in the lack consciousness, the victim consciousness, the petty consciousness, the poverty consciousness, where resources are limited, opportunities are limited. The ability to achieve your dream or your goal is limited now, where it pushes this unconscious lower frequency of competition forward. Because everyone wants the dream. Everyone wants to get somewhere where they're not suffering, where they're not overwhelmed and stressed. Everyone wants to get somewhere where they've said, okay, I've made it somewhere in life. I did it. And ultimately, the fear is that you'll never get there to that ultimate point in your life where you can actually say, I did it, I made it, before you die. Before you've burned all the bridges down and you realize you can't go back. You can't change it. It's too late. You let it go way too long for that even to be a reality for you anymore, and yet you don't even know what you're going to do with yourself now because you have no intention. You have no purpose. It didn't matter to you to this point, and now that you realize you have nowhere to go, what to do, you don't even know who you are. It creates this anxiety spin within the human being where the compulsiveness, where we are literally so reactive, even in our own senses, so reactive, just to offset the pain, the shame, the guilt, the regret, the stress, the overwhelming, ideas of knowing what you did, of knowing what happened to get to this point, and yet somehow this powerlessness, this helplessness, there's so much of humanity is lost in where they don't want to accept accountability and responsibility because they actually do feel helpless. They literally don't feel in control of themselves. They don't feel like they have the ability to even trust their own choices, trust themselves with anything responsible, to where they constantly do these behavioral patterns and these actions that constantly dictate and burn bridges, manipulate and corrupt any opportunity that does come their way that is manifesting for them to get them out of the suffering, because now they no longer trust the unknown. They no longer trust the uncertainty. They no longer trust anything that is not familiar to them, when all the while everything that's familiar to them is the reason why they are where they are at. And because they cannot surrender to the unknown and trust and have faith and allow themselves to make a different choice than before, allow themselves to be out of the box even for a moment, it brings up all the fear that they have been in denial of the entire time, which by that point in most of our human lives is so condensed, it's so packed so much that the moment it comes into our awareness, it's almost like a hot potato. We try to throw it off real quick, move back into obsession, move back into addiction, move back into distraction, disassociation, cognitive dissonance, immediately escape. Because the energy has been so suppressed and moved back out of focus for so long, it is a big energy. That's the truth. It is a lot. And it's jam-packed. So the moment your focus becomes aware of it, the moment it becomes into your experience, it's this fight or flight mode that activates within the human being, where literally it's flee, escape, don't be here. Like, I don't want this. I can't look at it. And that is what's continuously driving the being more and more in fight or flight mode, connected to the fear root of the programming of the ego, which allows it to hijack us consistently. because we're not in the driver's seat at that point. We're not choosing to be at the wheel of our being, our vessel, and make a choice, discern, look at the energy, reflect. Don't be afraid of yourself. Face yourself, which allows you to actually be in observation and full awareness of what you actually are doing in all moments, which completely cuts off the black hole, the back window where the hijacking comes through. Where we let off the wheel, we completely let go, and we spin in uncertainty and anxiety. We escape, we abandon ourselves, neglect ourselves, and then we get hijacked. We go into the lower programming that we are programmed and conditioned to do, where the ego does take over the vessel. And even though you're aware of it, a lot of times that powerlessness, the lack of confidence, the lack of empowerment, the helplessness, it keeps the human being from moving back in that driver's seat. Making the choice like, wait, I got to grab the reins right now because I'm headed down a freaking steep slope right now. And a lot of beings on this planet, you can say you have been aware of that. Mostly everybody at this point that's gone down that steep slope, that's gone down the self-sabotage, this burning the bridges, like just completely full corruption. Most of us have been aware the entire time that ride was going down to that point, yet felt helpless, felt powerlessness, felt we didn't have any ability to get ahead of this thing. We're basically just like, we're submitting. We're settling for wherever this ends up for me. It is what it is at this point. Giving up completely, ding. That's the energy that keeps a lot of the population back from even standing up for themselves, even realizing they do have a voice, even realizing they do have a choice, because they're so overwhelmed with just the idea of everything that they've been attached to that they can't change. Ding. That they can't go back and fix. And so they've identified so much with all those things that they've attached to and can't go back and fix. And they've identified with that to the point where that's what they think they are. And if that's what they are, how could they be something else? How can they be someone else with now this? Because they can't change it. When you're not supposed to identify with it, it's an experience. Everything in this life is an experience. And this is how mom's going to help humanity start to break away from all this attachment and identifying with things, because this is not who you are, humanity. You are so beyond this. You are so much more than all of this. And this is allowing you to play it small. It's allowing you to not move forward with your dreams and your wishes and what you know in your heart truly is meant for you. Yet everybody else, everything else in this life tells you no. You think it won't accept you. It's not the time. It's too late. You've done too much to go back now. This linear time does not exist. It's not real. And the sooner humanity picks up on that and starts to get that, then really letting go, really forgiving, really getting back to the heart of things will be a much more quicker pace, because once humanity realizes they are not chained to this, they are not identified with this, God does not see humanity as what they see themselves as. Once that really becomes known to them and it clicks in place, the rush back to love, the rush back to truth and wholeness and peace and healing is going to be a much faster ride. This is why this ascension process is not going to be a long, delayed out process. We're going to reach a point in this ascension point where once humanity becomes aware, their sovereignty is still fully intact, their innocence is still fully intact. We are fully innocent, sovereign beings on this planet. No matter what has happened to this point, God has forgiven everything. This is going to change everything. Because everyone is suffering so much about what they've done, where they have been, what's happened to them. But they realize that's not the truth. None of it is the truth. None of this is the truth. When they realize their innocence has never for a moment been touched, tainted, in any single way. It has always been pure. And that they are not indebted to the experiences of their life. We have karma to rebalance that, but it has nothing to do with punishment or anything good or bad. This is a soul contract that we have all taken on, and we have all surrendered to this experience, and the divine plan guides us all to however it needs to plan out. So if that is the truth, truly no one is to blame at this point. We are all responsible and accountable because we all agreed to this game. We all agreed to surrender to this experience together, no matter what it was going to come to. On a soul level, we realized and understood what was meant and what was highest, what was necessary for the rest of creation to move forward. It does not matter that now that we are here in the thick of it and things are quite gruesome and have been very, very dark and are going to get quite a bit darker as disclosure comes out, finding out and being aware what has been going on to this point. It still does not change humanity's innocence, though. And that's going to make it easier for humanity to reach forgiveness with ourselves. Because we truly did not know what we were doing, much less what others were doing, while we didn't know what we were doing. Ignorance isn't bliss, but you truly are innocent. This will relieve a lot of you. This will help a lot of you let go of so much that you have held on to, that you have attached to in your life, that you have made you, and it's not you. It never was you from the start. So everything you've been suffering for because you thought it was you, you can let that go now. And truly forgive yourself for ever trying to impose that on yourself as who you are. Because it's not. It's going to change a lot of things for a lot of us once we truly start reaching more deeper into the self-forgiveness. This is a lot of what my path is on right now personally, learning deeper levels of the self-forgiveness. And it brings a lot more to my awareness every single time. And the test is to forgive. So you go deeper and you forgive and you go deeper. That's true love. You don't stop. The flow will never stop. Truly, however, if you choose it, there's a point that you can't forgive, a point that you reach, you can't make it past that with forgiveness. It's a true reflection of yourself, of where in yourself you can't forgive, where in yourself you won't go deeper, you won't look at yourself, and that you won't allow yourself to accept that part of yourself. So it's truly a nice little chess game you go through with yourself to realize, truly we really are all one. And everything is reflecting, one through another. It's the way Mom created us. We are all divine love mirrors for each other. Nothing will ever change that. Ever. Thank you, Mom. And then there's... See, this is where humanity is in their consciousness. To kind of create a better picture for you all. If you're in a lower consciousness, whatever is happening, of course this is all according to divine plan and intervention. Whatever happening is of the highest. But if we're in a lower consciousness, we're in a lower perspective, in our experience it's going to seem as something bad. It's going to seem like something to be afraid of, to be scared, to have to plan ahead of, get ahead of, or figure out. This is ultimately where we start to learn to let trust in God. Really, really, how much do you trust God? How much do you have faith in God? How much do you really feel you could step off the cliff and not fall? And that truly is where you have brought yourself in your life to what you've gone through, what you've had to deal with, endure, how you took it, how you thought it played out for you, what you've been in denial and refusal, acceptance, don't want to be responsible or accountable for. All these different moments, these fragments, these life events have happened that we've walked through since the time we first were conceived. Is a play out movie of your life telling you who you are, what's happening, what's in your way, what are you doing with yourself. And there's a strange energy of such deep denial of the self that, we ultimately have this delusion of grandeur where we would have chosen the best life, the most money, would have had, the best cars, the biggest house, go to all the beaches, do whatever you want and just have so much free reign in life to where, you could experience everything in life. It was just given to you. And a lot of people through like the entertainment industry and just like growing up with, within suppression, poverty consciousness, all these different, things, how the human being moves into escapism, fantasy, delusions of grandeur, projecting a different reality that they want, which is not their current reality. And that's where they choose to put so much of their energy. That's where they choose to, wish for and hope for, yet they're choking it. They're choking every opportunity that's literally starting to manifest and come towards them in the physical. They're literally choking it up to life completely. So they're so deprived and so suppressed that the moment... And I learned this is an interesting lesson I learned quite a few years ago. It was about like 8 or 9 years ago. It had to do with prayer, And it was a connection because like a lot of what my research was at the time about consciousness and understanding like manifestation and how the divine law works together with you through that energy. It was a lot about where a lot of the collectives flipped, in prayers, how like through a lot of religions, they teach you to focus on the things you don't want, the things that are negative, that you feel are bad, that you are so attached to and obsessed and like, just all over. Like they teach you in a lot of ways, physically, verbally, but also through like just like an unuttered sense, just an energy of the delusion, where that's what you focus on. Especially with prayers. Prayers are a powerful form of manifestation and movement of energy. And so using that capacity, the human avatar, through prayer and hijacking that energy to focus it on something negative. So when people, a lot of times when they come to God and they pray to God, for answers or oh my God, I'm in pain or this is happening or like save me from this, is like all this energy is going to all the negative things through their prayer capacity. And that's what's generating and actually manifesting through divine law and divine decree of how actual creation is set up and works, to where we have been deceived and manipulated humanity. Our focus does not need to be on all the stuff that we have attached and deemed bad and wrong, all this stuff. The highest perspective, the highest truth, the highest timeline, where are we going, what needs to resolve into, that's where we need to be at. That's where the energy needs to go. When you pray for the highest timeline. You pray for all the things you are grateful for, where you are, showing that you are actually even acknowledging your experience in the first place. Because why would you get more in your experience if you're completely complacent and disassociative of where you're even at? Why would you even want more? You don't even want what you've got. And yet you want more? You see, there's certain levels of the human being that have to come into alignment before the beings actually get to the point where like, okay, you're right. Where am I at right now? What needs to be resolved right now? What needs to be focused and attended to now? Not 5 years, not where you want to be at in 20 years, not what you want to be resolved by the time you're 40 years old and you're retired and you get your pension and all that. You see where all this stuff is being hijacked, where it just feeds back into the collective, feeds back into the 3D matrix, the delusion. Because ultimately it's just in survival, just to sustain where they're at, because they're in fight or flight mode and they don't want to be where they're at. So they're looking for the savior energy to come back and save them from the situation, when automatically it just really, a lot of times it just needs a choice. You just need to make a choice. And then a lot of that experience and the reality can actually shift so quickly. We've done it every single day, all day long, for years. We are living, breathing examples of this. Telling you fully, this is how it works. This is how mom has created it. We focus on the things we're grateful for, what we wish to support and push forward, the highest timeline for others, for love, for community, for connecting, and moving mom's mission, the divine plan forward. That's where we place all of our energy at, prayers, for resolution, to reach those moments. We're not going to sit there and spend moments with mom complaining and just like being a little brat and just throwing all this energy at God because we want God to fix it. No. No. We learned so many lessons by God being here in the physical and living with her, and it's such a great honor and respect, and also has taught us a lot of how we respect and interact and communicate with God etherically as well. And it's the same. She is real just like you and me. Respect her, talk to her, love her, include her into your day. Give her the moments of your day instead of some fucking 3D programming. And that will change so much of your life. If you include mom into everything, if you're cleaning, if you're at work, if you're taking care of your family, no matter what you are doing, where's your heart at? Are you feeling into mom? Are you including mom? Are you doing your best to be in higher joy, doing the best to sustain yourself, maintain your stability, help others, support others, push mission forward, love, service to humanity? All those things, it's mom. If you're including her into your day, if you're feeling into mom, talk to your angels. Talk a lot to mom. She'll be right there. You don't have to be in fantasy humanity. You don't have to be in delusion anymore. You don't have to be in some other reality. God is so real, and the moment you finally just decide you're worthy, she's right there. You can connect to her. You can connect to the angels. Feel it. What is the highest choice for me right now? What would mom want me to choose for myself right now in this moment? If mom was here, if she was sitting right here next to me, and she was aware of the same situation, would I be making this choice right now? Ooh. It's a no. Or it's a yes. And very quickly, if you actually just view things like that, if mom was right here and she was listening, looking dead at me, and I had to make a choice, is this really what I'd be choosing right now? And you know immediately what you would be choosing. So if you're not choosing that, you already know you're getting yourself off track. You automatically know you're not on the highest timeline. You are creating more work for yourself right now in this moment. And that's okay. If you want to choose that, you can choose that. But also be aware that you are responsible and you are accountable for those same choices and actions and the energy you will generate from those actions. It does not change that. And you will get to a point where you become so overwhelmed and accountable and responsible for your actions and choices, you will just want to keep them in alignment and right action automatically by just doing it. Because it feels better. You're not suffering. You're not creating more work for yourself where you're like, okay, like I really need a break. Okay, well, give yourself a break and stop doing it. Don't be asking God for a break. Don't be asking the angels for a break. You just stop doing it and you'll get a break. You see how that works? You don't challenge God. You don't push past the divine plan. So you will reach a point where you are building so much energy and intensity for yourself through that force of overwhelming your own self. You will automatically recede. You will choose to surrender at some point. Love will break down every single wall. Even with tough love. Because ultimately we are love. We have never not been love. It was very distant from ourselves and that worthiness of fully accepting that truth. So ultimately in our experience, it has to come crashing in sometimes. And this is what we're asking for in these moments. There's a lot of, there's a couple of moments I talked about, where, us moving into the fall time, the equinox, the solstices, all these different moments. It shows the physical externalized reality of humanity's consciousness. When we're in like the spring, summertime, that's a lot of where you see a lot of the external outward movement of the reality and changes and shifts and stuff going on. And then when we move into the winter time, and all that, that's a lot of where the deep internal work, where you see a lot of the internal part of the collective consciousness starts shifting and changing, and this is where we're going to see a lot of what Angel's the best way to explain it. So clearly, okay, so like watching a movie. Okay, you watch a movie, everything is shown to you, right? That's pretty much what the spring, summertime has been, where we've seen a lot. COVID, all the stuff coming out, children in tunnels. There's been a lot of external, like, movie scenes that's played out in front of humanity, where humanity's become aware of, like, okay, this is happening. This is real. It's on the news. I'm watching it right now. This is happening. So there's been a lot of the external reality shifting and changing in front of humanity for humanity's awareness to understand what's happening. Yet now as we move into like the fall winter times, as the internal collective consciousness starts to go through the internal changes, a lot of what we have been exposed to thus far to this point and have seen, the presidency, all this stuff with Trump, Biden, everything. Stuff about the cabal and everything, stuff coming out with like all of it. Adrenochrome, everything. It's built a lot of stuff up under the surface. It's set up so many landmines under the surface internally for the collective consciousness that now as we arrive to this point, as we start to shift more into the internal collective shiftment, as we move into fall, winter, because we're coming out of spring and summer, so that's the external reality, really you see a lot of shift and change. Now that we go internal, into the internal part of the consciousness, our internal self, this is where what mom has already set up, what we've already been exposed to and have experienced thus far, and now proceed, kind of like sets the tone for what we're moving into. So it's not just like we get in there like, okay, what's on the agenda now once we're in the season. No, it's like so much has been built up already. Once we go into it, it's going to be like a freaking landmine. Things are going to be exploding. The internal self is going to become so aware of so many things so fast, and it's already been set up in the awareness that as we reach this, it's going to be catalyst. It's going to start like literally booming and exploding humanity upward with the awareness, because it's kind of like going to a shed or a garage that you haven't been into so long and so much stuff's been in there, and then you go in there finally, you start opening this up and you're like, whoa, this was in there, what? I can't believe this has been in here. Like, that's the experience we're about to go through, yet it's going to be a lot more intense and a lot more crazy for a lot of people because so much has been suppressed, where now we're going into the garage, okay? And we're about to find so much stuff that's been built up in there. We're like, holy shit, and it's going to be shockwave after shockwave, gaslight, surprise. It's going to blindside humanity so much in so many ways, where this is where the ego, the collective ego, cannot try to get ahead, cannot try to predict and create more behavioral patterns from this situation's finding itself in. Now, what it's going to try to be complacent or move the energy into, try to disassociate with the self so the expansion can't happen. No, this is going to be so fast and such a massive, consistent hit to the human being in their experience, where the ego cannot keep up. It cannot try to mimic and manipulate and morph into something else. So the awareness is coming. It's going to come crashing in very, very hard for a lot of beings on this planet. And this is mother's love. This is mother's tough love for a lot of you, because a lot of you have been aware of a lot of things, and you've been stubborn, and you have been in control, and you have been resistant and neglective of the responsibility and accountability you actually really know you have, and you've been sitting out, and that's going to be a constant theme. I shared this to Jerry earlier. There's so many beings that have been aware of mom, that have watched these streams for so long, and there are a lot of part of the second wave, the people mom has reached over the years and touched and lived with and connected with and talked to. There's a point where this is going to become absolutely undeniable, to where the shattering truth of that is going to trigger off so much guilt and shame in the human being. And that's okay, it's the experience, but also, because humanity is in lower consciousness, is in the lower frequencies, this is where they are at. So by the time this experience, the truth fully clicks in, they are already still in low consciousness. So when the truth kicks in, they're going to react out of the low consciousness frequencies. They're already so behavioral patternly set into being and doing consistently out of, you see? So it's not a punishment. It's not something coming in. It's like literally you are so in low frequencies and unworthiness, and just neglect of yourself and helpless and poverty consciousness. The low frequencies change your perspective of yourself and your experience to the point where when the truth actually comes, ultimately everyone else starts to be like, well, it's overwhelming. It takes people out. This is necessary. This is the divine intervention that humanity has been praying for, pleading for, begging God for, for delivery. And God says, deliver yourself. And she has shown you the way. She has created the bridge. And she is fully, completely sustaining and maintaining this planetary ascension and the highest timeline for humanity to make it with the planet and everything else. So God truly says, save yourselves. And that truly just requires you to make a choice, which is to be your higher, grander, greatest self in every moment and figure out what that means for yourself by transforming, stepping up, moving your ass, and get out of this helpless victim consciousness where you just feel it's too late, you can't do it. Other people seem like they've got it. Other people seem like they can do a better job at it than me, so why not just let them do it? You whore. You whore. Playing it small. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't really do anything, even for yourself. You're bored, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're obsessed, addicted because you're bored. Because all the energy that's coming through you has no outlet. You're not doing anything. You're not creating. You're not actively putting it forward in a purpose that is for the highest plan. So of course you're going to experience the detriment of that. You're going to experience the depression. You're going to reach the disappointment because your expectations ultimately were not met. Yet at the same time, you didn't really give much worth to it in the beginning. So why are you really so disappointed? That's something that was so important to you that you didn't even give the effort and really the conscious intention time to move energy towards that and really, in truth, love, non-attachment, move towards that and trust and let go that it was going to manifest. You see what I'm saying? These are not the way we are living. These are not the principles we are applying to our life or our experience. So truly, you can't blame anyone, can't blame God for any of it, because you have not been operating efficiently in the proper alignment and manifesting the right experiences for yourself. It's going to get to a point in humanity where your humiliation and humbleness is going to be required, because it's the truth. You can't change it. We fucked up. God never once, not for a second, fucked up. We fucked up, humanity. We made the dumb choices. We got ourselves to this point in the reality. We manifested everything on this physical planet that's happening right now in this single moment. We have all been responsible and accountable for it because we made this choice. We made all the choices over the years and moments that led us to this single moment right now. I am speaking to you. For what you are experiencing in the world today, you're accountable for all those choices. Every single one. And collectively, all of us are accountable for where the world is at, where this planet is at, what has happened to this planet, to our countries, to our leaderships, to our families, to our children. We are all responsible and accountable for what has happened to our children and how our children have grown up in the world continuously. Generation after generation after generation. We are fully accountable and responsible for what has happened to the children. Even with the cabal's involvement and everything that has happened to the children. It might make you so sick to your stomach and so very upset and angry at the world that these things exist. Yet it might completely miss your ability to conceive that you still are responsible and accountable. Because you are a part of this human race. And everything is a reflection of itself. And all of us will arrive to this point at some point in our life where we truly do realize everything as a reflection of itself and of ourself. That's God. And truly accepting that, acknowledging it, loving that, forgiving that back into wholeness and truth, that is the way, because we are all reflections of ourselves. So truly, that is truly our own reflection. Which, if you don't feel to do that for your own self, that is very sad. Because you deserve it. You're worthy of forgiveness and love, respect, honor. You are nothing small. It's a long road back to this. It'll be a lot faster than you actually think it's going to be. So it's not about holding on tight and enduring something that's coming. It's really about letting go as much as possible, as fast as you can. Because the windstorm coming, the more you got on you, the more... You ever saw someone trying to get through a windstorm or a rainstorm, and they got this umbrella and the wind's blowing so hard, and it's whoa, it's blowing it back and pulling. That's that baggage, like a parachute. The more you got on yourself right now, humanity, in these moments moving forward, every single moment is going to enact like an energetic parachute. It is going to pull so hard back, and you are going to get slammed with so much energy. And if you can't move through that smoothly and flow with it, it's going to cause agitation. It's going to cause stress, your control, all these different things, to where you will learn through this experience. It's better just to let it go. Let it go. It doesn't matter. Just let it all go. Move through the process. And as you feel lighter, as you feel more fluid and flexible and the ability to flow through this process more and more as you let go, you'll find the joy in that. It won't be such a sad thing to you, or it won't be such a loss or a fear of not having anything anymore, anyone or enough, or people that love you. It won't be any of that anymore, because you'll learn the joy in letting go, because so much is coming in. You can't keep up with it. And the only reason why nothing really is coming through for you, because you've held on to everything else. You got to keep letting go of everything so more can come through. And in that joy and the constant surprise and the amazement as it comes through, is you realize it is way more grander to let go. It's way easier just to let it go and forgive. Why stay there? Why stay 5 years ago? Why stay 20 years ago? It's hard. It's painful. It's overwhelming. It's bitter. And there's no joy in that. And you can't enjoy and appreciate the present moment because you're still back there. These parachutes are going to become more and more aggressive and more apparent in your experience, where you're going to be like, you know what? This is not even worth it to me at this point to keep holding on to this, controlling this, needing to have this, these attachments, all these different things. There's no point. The human being a lot of times is so stubborn, so resistant, so absolutely rebellious to surrender, to love and truth, that it will play out to that last point where it realizes, you know what, it's not worth it. It absolutely is not worth anything at this point to keep going. They feel the exhaustion. They feel how much it's drained them. They feel how much, just broken down they are inside after giving so much of themselves to this black hole that no longer it's really not going to play out how they want it. But they realize in their control, it was not worth it to control it. It was not worth to go this far to prove this point. It wasn't worth it. Well, that's going to be a lot of people's experience, where they have to hit that wall and admit it to themselves. I have played this out. I have overplayed this. I have pushed this too far. And once they admit that, then they can actually start to feel, find the massive exhaustion, the weight on their back, the burdens, the expectations, the judgment, all the externalization, everything that they try to juggle and weigh the entire time trying to make it to this. For what? What was it for? What was the purpose? Did it fulfill you? It didn't. This is where the human being on this planet, everyone collectively is going to go push through this pressure cooker where we realize in our individual experiences so many things are just not worth it anymore. We are going to realize so many things have been so played out, so overplayed, we are tired of hearing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. There has to be a change. Because the irritation, the agitation that's going to hit the collective is going to be so immense. You're like, you know what? No. Because a lot of them try to play off like, I'll die soon. Oh, I'll just I'll move away. Like, it's gonna come so close into your life at this point. You're gonna realize you're not gonna sit there and live with that anymore. You're not gonna sit there and deal with that. It's not gonna be a thing every day you're gonna go through. You're gonna get tired of not loving yourself. Did you hear that? You're gonna get tired of not loving yourself. It's gonna break you down. And you get put in an experience where ultimately you have to go through a process where you learn, the hard, tough love lessons of loving yourself, loving other people, loving life, taking care of everything, being respectful, being grateful that you're even still here at this point. Everybody wants to be saved. Everybody wants the best life. Everybody wants all the jewels and everything in life and all the highs of life. Yet you look at it as like, where's the work for it? Where are the intentions? Where is the purpose, the actual energy moving forward, the effort? Where is it at? And then if they, a lot of them be like, oh, well, I've done this. And they try to produce so many things. But, if you look at that, what was it done out of? What was the intention? Fear, competition, trying to prove a point, trying to get the best, trying to outlast others. Do you really feel we're going to heaven acting like that, humanity? Do you feel any of that is in any of the scope of where we are moving into heart-based reality? No. So you have nothing. Humanity has nothing to justify or validate where we are at this point, what we think we've done, where we have gone, what we have produced at this point. Because if you look at it, what is it out of mostly? Be real. Be honest with yourself. It has not been love. It has not been truth, deception, manipulation. You know what I'm talking about. This has to come into full awareness for this collective. Because at some point for us to make higher choices, these things cannot be a factor in our consciousness. To truly manifest a higher timeline and experience for ourselves, these things need to be resolved. Which mom is doing that now, is pushing us through this canal and this pressure cooker where it literally is going to squeeze it back in to your experience where you have spent so much energy over your entire life pushing it outward. You now have lost all control. It's gone. These things are going to come crashing into the point where acceptance, acknowledgement, surrender is an absolute requirement for you to absolutely not go insane. And I say that with the greatest compassion because ultimately it is our own choices that generate the experience of what we are choosing for ourselves to go through and face. And I know a lot of you are choosing the harder road, and I have compassion and love for all of you. I pray you find the ability to love yourself sooner than later. I pray you find the ability to forgive yourself and let things go sooner than later. And I pray you find the ability and the capacity to find motivation and passion to recreate yourself in love and push forward. Now. Sooner than later. Because it's going to be a better experience for you if you do. And that's honestly a brother speaking to all brothers and sisters on this planet. We are all brothers and sisters. And it doesn't matter what experience, what road you chose for yourself. We are all mom's children. So we are all deserving and worthy of the same ultimate unconditional love and in respect and forgiveness. Because so much that's happening on this planet, it's all energy. We can't attach. We can't say it truly is a person, because it's not. Most of this energy on this planet has been here for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's finally taken humanity this long to get to the point where the human vessel avatar can actually even get to the point where it can energetically process that kind of energy. So most things happening on this planet truly is not who we are. It's not who you are. It's not who your family are, who your friends are. It's not who any of us are. No matter how you see them in life, no matter what's going on in your reality or how everyone shows himself to you, it's not who they are. Everyone is covered with so many layers of illusion. If you can accept that, if you can see that concept and really grasp at that, it will help you so much in letting go of so much, because it truly is, this is not who we are. I've told you the truth, you are divine. You are a child of God, mother's child. You are a piece of God. You are a God with God. So, knowing and being aware of that, anything that stands in the way of that is not true. That is what's causing you your suffering, your pain, your confusion, your own self-neglect. And a lot of the self-neglect and disassociation comes from in this life because humanity knows on the soul level this isn't who they are. And they don't want to identify with it, so they flee. They disassociate. They escape out of this reality they don't want to be in because they know it's not what it's supposed to be. It's not who they are. This is not love. This is not soul. This is not God. But at the same time, you are still accountable for delaying your contract because you still chose to be here. This is the illusion. And I know I've come across many people in my life, growing up and especially when I got into spirituality and really growing in that space where people had such a objection to this reality, to living in 3D society, yet that's where they were every day, going to work, paying bills, having a house, all those things, families. They resented 3D Matrix so much, yet they submitted to it. They resented their own life, yet they lived the same way every single time. It's like you built your own guilt and resentment and bitterness in your own self by choosing to suffer through the same thing that you hated so much. So you were the same one shoving the hot iron down your throat every day. Why can't you see that? Getting to that point, there's a lot of spiritualists out there that I came across. Had such an objection to this 3D Matrix, the cabal, all this stuff. They wanted to be in the etheric with the dragons and all this stuff. And they were so cognitive dissonant. They were completely out of their body most of the time, just like aloof, floating around, not even caring about the present moment where their body is at, which is a part of their soul, part of their being. The soul and God, which is a piece of God, created this body. So the fact that we would neglect this body in this crazy ass experience and go live in a fantasy world somewhere else, day after day after day, in delusion, and not take care of the present moment reality that the body is actually stuck in. It's one of the ultimate betrayals. Betraying your own self, your own body. There's deeper energetic understandings that are coming to the surface now for humanity to realize this is one of those. And it's going to be hard to accept for so many people, but it's the truth, and it's okay. We can forgive ourselves, forgive the experience, because we want to get to this point in understanding that and ultimately being able to flip it, being grateful, honoring ourselves and respecting ourselves even more, knowing the depth of how much we deprived ourselves off of it, knowing the depth of how much we suppressed ourselves from it. Now we have the wisdom through those experiences, humanity. They're not bad. We have the wisdom and the experiences now to choose the higher choices because we understand the depth of the experience in our life when that is not there. And that energetic will push you to the highest experiences of joy, of abundance, prosperity, gratefulness, gratitude for everything in life, because it means so much more to you, because you understand the depth of it, and you also have experienced the void of it when it's not there. When you don't have that experience, you don't have that feeling, that meaning, that memory, that love, those moments. You have felt and understand and experienced when that does not exist. So now that it's here and you are experiencing it, you have the ability to flip that all into the highest gratitude, because now you can finally feel deeper into that experience, sense and taste so much deeper into what that actually brings forward to you, because you've experienced so much of the depravity of it. So every amount now that comes in, you feel it. It's so overwhelming and beautiful and blissful. And you're so overwhelmed with gratitude now because you've experienced the depletion of it. So anything above depletion is going to feel like a ride for you, which is what the collective experience has been choosing for a lot of moments in a lot of ways. Going so deep into the deep, dark stuff, to where humanity understands at an ultimate depth of why we need to be love to each other, why we need to trust each other, support each other, and really help each other move this forward together, because we've experienced all the shit of where we did not do that. And that's what we've been living into this point where most humanity is absolutely insane and losing it. Cannot handle another pandemic outbreak. Cannot go through it, absolutely are up to their neck. They're about to explode. Which is what they are choosing, because they still won't speak up. They still won't say no. You might say yes, some people are individually. You might be saying it, yes. But on a collective scale, the collective is still choosing to be docile. The collective is still choosing to be, well, hands off. It is what it is. However it rides out, I guess it is. There's giving up. No empowerment. No stability. No balls. You wonder why God screamed, "Get your balls," so many times over the years? It was for a reason, because humanity does not have their balls. And it's going to require you getting your balls to actually stand up for yourself and speak your truth, not just by yourself, together. Everyone. You see what I mean? A few people can't just do it for 8 billion people on this planet. Are you kidding me? You sitting this out, you're adding more weight to the scale of the people that can do it. That's dumb. That's so dumb. And the funny thing is, too, I realized this on mission. I had like an interesting vision. We came to a point where it was just like a deja vu vision moment, where humanity was going to reach this point collectively where they have seen a lot of this. They have been aware of a lot of this, and like ultimately knew it was going to come to a point where they were going to have to accept it. Like literally choosing to dismiss and deny and like abandon the truth. Also having the awareness at the same time, they weren't going to escape that. At some point, that was going to come back around. They have that awareness. They had it. At that point, they made the choice to disassociate. And the funny thing is, yes, it's been forgotten by a lot of people, but at the same time, it's like God doesn't forget anything. God's the ultimate chess player. And just checkmating all of us to where that energy coming back around at this point, like, in a lot of ways, it's like how I can look at our experiences on mission with the team, where Mom, in a lot of ways, focused on training the team and pushing us, embodying the divine traits and stuff like that, like truth, integrity, honesty, divine, perspective, patience, wisdom, grace, compassion, those things. If you spend enough moments living in a reality such as that consistently, nonstop, pushing and driving yourself to be that reflection. And anything that's in the way, of course, you transform and dissolve that, move that out the way so you can still excel and expand into that more greater divinity trait. Once you get to a certain point, like just moving the energy, it changes the consciousness so much to the point where now coming back around, like that's where a lot of us are at on the team. It's pretty cool where a lot of us are coming back around to a lot of the core things are coming up that we could not deal with on mission while we were, attentive and taking care of mom and dealing with that. Now that we have moments to actually access this and bring it up to transform it, mom's done so much work with us on the back end, with the structure, the blueprint, everything, that as this energy comes up and falls into place, there's an immediate movement and already a true trajectory for the energy now, because the core values, the principles, and everything else has been re-evolved and expanded on. It's been updated to where we are at now in our consciousness, where humanity is now set in place. We are not going back. We are not going back to the old shit. We are not going back to the old behavior, the old stuff. It is constantly falling off. Mom's pulling it off completely one by one, fast. Mom never stops. She's so fast and she keeps going. So just for everyone to be aware of that, just let it go. Surrender. Surrender is the biggest key in these moments. Let it go. Surrender. Forgive. Love. Those are the higher things to push for. And anything that's in your way where it's hard for you to do that, work on those parts. Don't focus on the shit that's you think are fucked up, that the things that you are so attached to that are making you miserable. Keep letting go. Okay? Because understand that there is an energetic pull now that is going to help you let go. So anything that feels like that stretch, and you feel like you're reaching your capacity with it, just let it go. Let it go. If it's true, if it's real, it will stay. But you exerting so much energy and holding on, attaching, and trying to control it overall in the moment, at the end of the day, it's going to drain you. Because you're not trusting that if it's really real, it will stay. You're still trying to hold that, and you're not trusting in faith. You're not trusting in God. You're not surrendering to the experience, which you're adding more work on yourself, which is not self-love, right? It doesn't bring you any peace. So trust mom that she's got this. She will take care of you all. Like the title says, it's either diapers or hearts. Choose. Get in your heart and start letting these things go. Trusting your heart, mom, connecting, moving forward, expanding, discipline, practice. Expand, learn, grow, be in love. Service to humanity, mission. The divine plan. Make these things your importance, what your day is filled with. Even when you're at work, these are still the things that you are doing everything for. The purpose you're there for, how you treat and interact with every person at work, anywhere, at the store. You still treat it with that purpose and that intention that we are eventually, at some point, very soon, we are going to arrive in 5D. So if you're going to the store being an asshole and a snob to someone, if you're completely being a dick, or treating your own wife or your own children like shit, or you're not taking care of yourself or your life, you cannot sit there and say, oh, well, yeah, I want 5D, I want to love you present. No, you don't. Because your actions, your intentions, what you are doing, what you are spinning, filling your moments with, and putting your energy into, does not say that. And that's exactly where God is at with that. At a certain point, she was very clear with the team. Do not come to me talking. I want to see action, move, effort, put the intention out, do something. Quit coming to God looking for God to do all the work. You have to move your ass, humanity. You have to make a choice, and you have to push that energy outward. Make a choice, make an effort, do an intention, do something. But to sit on your ass and want God to save you is absolutely not on the table anymore. She already did all the work. So now it's coming down to the point where it's like, do you really feel like you should be saved? Because if you're not even going to do the work for yourself, if you're not going to get up off your ass and support yourself, why are you looking for someone to save you if you don't even want to save yourself? You see that point? The ridiculousness of it is going to get to a very clear point. You're like, okay, yeah, I get it. And that's okay. That's grand. whatever is highest, whatever it takes to get humanity to the point where they surrender and accept love and finally can let go and trust in God to lead us forward and move us to 5D. And that requires everyone on this planet to be love. And of course, if we don't know that, we have to learn. So of course, the experience is going to be a wild ride. But the main intention is to move back together in unity consciousness. We will achieve that. Mom set the divine plan. Everything is moving forward exactly as Mom has planned it out. So everything that is happening, everything that is moving forward, it's Mom. And we trust that. We accept that. We are grateful for that. We are so, so, so grateful for that. Okay? I love you all. We love you all. Mom, creation, Robin, Jermaine, all the angels, the galactics, every single being in creation. This whole team loves you all, humanity. We love you all so much. The elementals, the dragons, gnomes, fairies, everyone honors you, humanity. Love you, humanity. And we support you. That's why we are all here. That's why we get up every single day and do this every single day. Because we love you. We will never give up God's dream. We will never step back from ultimately our highest dream together as a collective, as God with God, that we know we are worthy of and we deserve. But we don't look out our windows anymore and we see people suffering. We see happy children, happy women, happy men. This planet will flourish and it will be the grandest, greatest experience we have ever known. But to get to that point, we have to be so honest with ourselves and everything we are doing that is preventing us from getting there. And it starts truly with the self on so many levels. We love you all so much. And the experience you are in and what is coming truly is for the highest of love, unconditional love. Whatever you need, whatever you are asking for humanity to understand yourselves and to learn to heal, to let go, forgive, and finally stop being so cruel to yourselves and thus to each other. We will get it very, very soon. And once we all as a collective do get it, the race back to the heart and love and true forgiveness is going to be a race. And it's not going to be competitive. It's truly going to be a very joyful crowd of racing beings that literally just want to get back to the heart because they realize how much in love with love they truly are. It's a lot of beings and it's going to become a stampede soon. And it's grand. That's how loud love really truly is. And it moves in a massive wave, continuously, eternally, forever. I love you, humanity, so much. Thank you for everyone joining today. Do your ceremonies. Ground. Drink lots of water. Have moments today. Breathe. Thank you, angels. And angels are heart. Also, tomorrow. Woo! All right, so we got a lot of things to go off of or go over before we end the stream today. Oh, beautiful. Hi, everybody. Holly, Marcel, Jorge, Igor, Byron, Ramo, Angel, Byron, Laura. I love you so much. Laura, I've been feeling really heavy starting last night and moving into today. Things have been coming up that I thought I cleared and my instinct was to cringe and force it back because I didn't want to cry. Your message a bit ago about trauma and innocence just opened the gates and I cried abound. I have a lot more to process through but that one piece has made me feel much lighter. Thank you. You're very welcome, beautiful. That's all Mama right there. Everything is exactly in divine timing. Whatever she wants to come forward for both the collective and our individual experiences. So I love you. All right. Tomorrow, very, very big, important day. Tomorrow is Lionsgate Portal, 888 Portal. 8-8 portal. And it is absolutely big. It is probably one of the biggest energetic portals of the entire year that we go through every year. The biggest. Meaning it causes massive change. And there's a lot of things that we have been through in the last year up to this point, humanity. Trust me, you're going to want to be aware. Okay, ding. So tomorrow, 8-8 portal live stream, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Mountain time. Hope and Aurora, they're going to be on live. All right. Love you all. That's going to be really awesome. They will share all about the Lionsgate. The girls probably definitely have, a lot of times, we've looked through the books, like the journals, the books, everything over the years at this point, all the different synchronicities, the happenings over the years, just with the team and mom, what happens on the Lionsgate portal and what we've experienced the year after thus far. It is big. It's important. It is definitely a need to know, need to be aware. So join us live for that tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Mountain time. And yeah, we've got a lot going on tomorrow. There's so much, happening. Like we got 3 live streams. Got mornings of Mother Mary tomorrow in the morning time. That live, that's gonna be really awesome. So that's at 6 a.m. Mountain time, 8 a.m. Mountain Eastern time. 6 a.m. Mountain time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Thank you, angels. Slowing it down. That's tomorrow morning. Moments with Mother Mary. I feel that will be. No, actually no. That's gonna be. Thank you, angels. They're recorrecting. I was confused. No, that's gonna be Dylan and Buddha tomorrow morning. That'll be really fun. Dylan and Buddha tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 6 a.m. Mountain time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. Then you have Roadside Nuggets at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Mountain time. Then you have, it's just a lot. I'm completely just like, I'm so like spinning. I need to go ground actually. I am like really bad with like all these different time zones things. I didn't have my preparation done for stream to have all my notes, but all that's coming. What I am so very aware of right now that is absolutely happening tomorrow is the Lionsgate. Of course, it's the Lionsgate, but also the live stream with Aurora and Hope at 8 p.m. Eastern time and 6 p.m. Mountain time. So that is definitely going down. Everyone be there. That'd be awesome. We're gonna go over a lot of stuff that's happening with the Lionsgate, what we can really just prepare and get ready for, and what this is gonna mean for us, because this Lionsgate is gonna set the tone for the next year. So like, this is the window, the door, right? So I would be aware as possible as I can about this portal date. So therefore, I know once we come through that door, I know what to do. I'm prepared, got my disciplines and processes. I'm ready for whatever's coming up on the table, right? Full throttle. Be aware, prepare, follow through, self-support. That's self-love. Get it? So lots of tests coming up for you all. Thank you all for pushing and not giving up and being the greatest, grandest versions of yourselves, because you're all rock stars for mama, and you can do it. You really, really can do it, okay? You either get in your heart or you might as well get the diaper, because it's gonna be, it's gonna be wild, okay? So you don't care, you might as well strap on the diaper. If you do, get in your heart and push it. Push it now. No more times for delay. Get on the horse and ride it, okay? Push it now. This is it. This is the final ride, humanity. All right? Take care of yourself. And see you tomorrow at 6 a.m. Mountain Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Okay? Love you all.